slavery has always been the primary preoccupation of rich, white, American capitalist men.
From Storing the Stuff.
fucking cause. All proceeds from tonight go to sending books on activism from AK Press to people sitting and rotting away. Yeah! Stupid cause, system that obviously isn't working and needs to be changed.
Ow! Right. Cheers.
Here we go. Let's give a cheers, everybody in the room. Grab a drink, raise it. Just sending books for prisoners. Fuck the fascist regime.
Fuck fascism.
Engulfing politics right now.
Bound to lose.
Yeah, bound to lose.
Fuck the industrial complex!
Fuck the industrial prison complex.
That's right.
Cheers, everybody. Turn to your neighbor and fucking clean glasses. Everybody, somebody you don't know, just fucking turn to them and clean.
Clean.
Cheers! Cheers, guys! You guys are having
I think my guitar's out of tune, but I kind of don't care. Does anybody else care?
Not at all.
It's fine.
Sounds fantastic!
It's in tune if you believe it's in tune. That's about a bunch of hooting. I don't like walking around this old and empty house. Hold my hand and walk with me, my dear. No sleep's a hard sleep, is it keeping you awake? It's the house telling you to close your eyes. Sometimes I don't even know
Once again, really a lot for Angry Jonny. He put this whole thing together. And it's the immense, giant, bulbous, bleeding thing from his chest that he has for humanity. Thank you, Jonny. And thank you to everybody else that is performing tonight. And so much thanks to AK Press and to Eli's Mental Health Club. And I promise I'm going to try not to bore you too much, but I want to talk a little bit about like what this is all about. And so this little quick talk is called America's Unbroken and Ongoing History of Slavery. So I'm going to start out by reading a little piece I wrote while I was a slave myself with the Nevada Department of Corrections. It's called Holding Pattern. For all my life, I have had a deep-seated, desperate desire, nay compulsion, to stretch myself out as a conduit to the vast voice of the all things, thereby conducting it all into formulaic scratches onto slivers of wood such as this one. But now I've been made to succumb to the clampdown, Orwell's boot to the lockdown neck, caged and constricted within the confines of criminal comforts, which are no comforts at all. The weapons of oppression blindsiding my mind's eye, stamping out a weaker man's inclination to try. But not I. I will lower my lids only to awaken the ability to fly. High! Very, very high! A blinding fucking firework in the night side! Ablaze with the pyres of this moment's strife. Finally let loose on an inexplicably brilliant life. Only that, the one that only I am so fucking awesome as to try. In time, my temporary cry. Thank you. Now this is called, preserving slavery has always been the primary preoccupation of rich, white, American capitalist men. And let's take a look at the Second Amendment. Right? Now look, everyone likes the First Amendment, but the Second Amendment, I think we'd all agree, is a fucking shit show, right? Now, we talk a lot about how the Second Amendment is all about sort of making sure you can protect yourself in your home or protect yourself from the government. It's bullshit. The Second Amendment is about the preservation of slavery. Let's take a look at what it says. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So I'm going to refer you, just this week, Raw Story put out a real fucking wonderful piece called The Second Amendment Was Ratified to Preserve Slavery. In that article, they quote Sally E. Hayden, author of Slave Patrols, Law and Violence in Virginia and the Carolinas. She says in this article, although eligibility for the militias seemed all-encompassing, not every middle-aged white male Virginian or Carolinian became a slave patrol. Notice the interchange of the words militia and slave patrol. Remember what the Second Amendment says about the well-regulated militia. She goes on to say, most Southern men between ages 18 to 45, including physicians and ministers, had to serve on slave patrols in their lives. So the security of a free state was protected by inscription in the militia slave patrols. What we now refer to as the police. Right? That's right, because a direct line of connection can be made between the militias and the slave patrols to our modern police force. And we ended up fighting a fucking civil war over it. So let's talk about what happened with the Civil War, right? We got the 13th Amendment. Let's take a look at that. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the party having been duly convicted, shall exist in the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction, blah, blah, blah. Slavery was never abolished. It was transformed into a prison system. It's chattel slavery. It's what we refer to as the exception clause of the 13th Amendment. except as punishment for a crime whereof the party having been duly convicted. And then what happens the second that the 13th Amendment is ratified? There's a massive sea change in the militias and the slave patrols. They go from rounding up escaped slaves and checking on them in their slave camps and in their homes, and went about the business of, arresting them for loitering or spitting on the street, and then returning them to their slavery. And it's at this point, with the ratification of the 13th Amendment, that the police force becomes what we recognize now. They began to have uniforms, they had government funding, and that's the inception of our police force in that moment. And let me tell you another massive sea change that happened. Within a year of the ratification of the 13th Amendment, prison populations, which were 90% male population, within a year went to 90% black male population. Slavery has never ended in the United States. So then we have, and then they institute all the Jim Crow laws and this new transformation of slavery, right? So then we have the whole civil rights movement of the 60s. And we get the Civil Rights Bill enacted. So the Nixon administration goes into full force at that point and institutes the Southern strategy. Racist dog whistling, consolidation of the Republican Party into a Southern constituency. The trend of Confederate statue erections goes into full effect all over the South. The drug war connects blacks to heroin and a radical left to marijuana, and both drugs are heavily criminalized. And the COINTELPRO program goes into full effect, and the FBI begins targeting African American groups organizing. And check this shit out. The first time that the police were militarized, the first time that SWAT was used, the inception of SWAT was put into effect to shut down the LA chapter of the Black Panthers. Slave patrols. So then we fast forward. Reagan kicks the war on drugs into overdrive, right? CIA, which is, George Bush, starts importing massive amounts of cocaine and crack and floods it into already poverty-stricken and marginalized communities so that we can continue to lock people up in prisons and continue the slave trade. Clinton comes along, right? He comes along and he signs his massive crime bill with the free strikes law. Prison populations skyrocket. We now have more people currently in prisons, slaves, than any other nation in the world, and in the known history of the world. And I'm going to say this one more thing before I read my last little poem and let you get back to something fun like music. And I thank you so much for putting up with my shit. But on average, in the United States, someone who's sitting in a prison generates anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 in profits for one company or another. And I'll tell you this as an old fucking punk rocker, I don't know that I've ever made more than $27,000 in 1 year in my life. And I got me a nice Fred Perry and a nice pair of Ben Sherman shoes, and I'm not doing so bad. But I don't understand how $50,000 is justified for someone sitting in a fucking cell as a slave. I don't get that. Except that it's slavery. And it's what America has always been built on. And I wrote this piece the day before I got let out of my chains of slavery, before I got my name back from 109642. This is called Strength in Spite of Time. Well, I can't see any good reason for having been here. I shall so love every breath inhaled as I pass its foul gate. Though I have been so tested as to endure all that should cause a wise man to fear, I have stood steadfast, endured, and shown all that I am able to take. No good man should ever have occasion to comprehend this terrible chapter, nor should men of black heart be forced into such terms of uselessness. For while good men will still incline to find good occasion for laughter, so shall no evil man be spurred by these confines to shift heels towards usefulness. This is time, not well served but utterly wasted. This is crime, not in good cause innocent. No grand cause has been served here. No poor victim rightly recompensed. No lesson learned but to revel in ephemeral moments long left behind in the wake of this ugly, ugly reality. This school, lesson less evil. This time, this crime of time, wasted for no good reason I have yet to stumble upon. And know this, for I shall know it for all my life to follow. No crime can be undone by time, when such time is itself a crime, not so unlike any other committed over all time. Woo! Thank you so much. Thank you, Jonny.
get up here right now. I wouldn't play Smash Mouth for you, but I'm out of time. No. 1 minute of Smash Mouth, is that okay? You know the words? You know the words? This microphone's on, come here.
I'll make up words.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
I'm really not the sharpest tool in the shed.
My finger and my thumb on the shape of a nail on my forehead. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Back to the room and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense, not to live for fun. Your brain gets slopped, your head gets dumb. There's so much to do, so much to see, so much wrong with taking the back streets. You'll never know if you don't know. You'll never shine if you don't blow.
I'm still not
Hey
the
now,
sharpest tool in the
rock star.
shed.
Hey now, you're a rock star.
I am.
Show on.
Cool. I've heard that before. Apparently that's true.
And you know what, Aaron? You know what? It's a cool place. It's a cool place. That's it. That's cool. That's a button up now. Wait till you get older. The medium man and the devil. Talking about the hole in the satellite. Like we skate. It's getting kind of thing. The one's getting warm, so you might as well swim. The world's on fire. How about yours? That's the way I like it. I never get bored.
Jacaranda mouths are bending in the haze.
And then you snap your fingers to your stare, and you can do it all by yourself. Let me hear you do it. Somebody once asked me to spare some change for gas. I gotta get myself out of this place. I said, yeah, what a concept. I can use a little fuel myself. We can all use a little change. The years start coming, then don't stop coming. Back to the roads, I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense when I live for fun. The brain gets slow, but your head gets dumb. I said so much to do, so much to say, so much wrong with me. In the back you'll never know where you're gonna go. You'll never shine if you don't feel that. Aaron, everybody.
Hey guys. Wow, Angry Jonny, right?